What's up everyone, it's TDubsKid, and in an earlier video I was out riding on the gnarliest, rockiest trail I have ever ridden on. And I came real close to cracking my case on a rock because the stock skid plate is about as strong as a couple of Coca-Cola cans. Luckily, I was able to get away with only a scraped case cover and a small tear in the skid plate. The underside of the TW200 is with no doubt its weak spot. It doesn't have frame rails that run below the engine like most dirt bikes. It actually uses the engine case as part of the frame, which is what gives it decent ground clearance, yet such a low seat height. That's why the little T-Dubs gets a factory skid plate and the bigger Yamaha Dual Sports don't. So that very same day, after almost destroying my engine, I ordered an aluminum skid plate from Ricochet Off-Road. You can buy them online for about 95 bucks, and they're custom made to fit right on the TW. It even has a small cutout so you can drain the oil without having to remove it every time. You can also get it anodized in different colors for more cash and time, if that's the kind of thing you're into. A couple of things you may want to consider before getting one of these is number one, noise. It acts like a radar dish that reflects the clickety-clacks of the air-cooled engine right back at you. And number two is possible extra heat buildup, because the stock one has holes in it and this one does not. Although it does have a rather large space between it and the engine, so it should be okay. I put this bike through some rough terrain, so it's a good compromise for me to have a protected engine. So when you take this thing out of the box, you're going to get some brackets, bolts, and instructions. To install it, I would start out by taking the stock skid plate off if you haven't already. It's just one 10mm bolt and you unhook it from the back. Check that out, the new skid plate is beefy. Now use a 12mm wrench and a ratchet with a 14mm socket to take out the front lower engine mount bolt. You might have to wiggle it a little bit to get it all the way out. Grab the front L brackets and run the new long bolt through the brackets and the frame, making sure there is a washer on the outside of each L bracket, and the bolt might need a little encouragement to get it all the way through. You can run the nut in, but don't tighten it just yet. Next, you need to slightly bend in the hook that attaches the stock skid plate. This is so the new plate will sit flush up against the frame. I just used a hammer covered in electrical tape to prevent marring up the paint. Be sure to put some liquid wrench or anti-seize on the threads of the 4 bolts that are left. Make sure there's a washer on each one and line up the skid plate to the front brackets, then thread in the two 14mm bolts, but don't tighten them down just yet. Now grab the 2 brackets for the rear and slip them over the rear frame rail while threading in the Torx bolts. Now go ahead and tighten down all the bolts for the skid plate. You're going to notice there's a lot of resistance when spinning the bolts in. This is because of the thread locking feature on the nuts, so the bolts won't back out from all the vibration. Oh, and also the rear bolts use a Torx T40 bit. If you don't have one of those, you can get them at Harbor Freight for pretty cheap. Now torque down the engine mount bolt to 33 Nm or 24 foot-pounds of torque. It might be easier if you tighten it down before bolting up the skid plate. If you do it that way, just make sure the brackets will align with the holes in the plate before torquing it down. Also, it's not a horrible idea to put the bolt for the stock skid plate back where it came from, because it's a good spot to store a spare bolt, and you never know when it could come in handy. Well, now the only thing that's left is to put this fresh, sparkly skid plate to the test. Wow, that's one way to test it out. Let's see how well it held up. That was a fairly hard hit, and it's only slightly bent in and has a few scratches. This is one tough skid plate, and I definitely recommend it for anyone who does gnarly off-roading on their T-Dubs. Well, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I upload new videos weekly. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.